American perspective. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, I'm gonna talk from the Latin American perspective, but mainly from the Colombian perspective. And actually, I'm gonna do it. Can you go to the next one, please? From the, no, that one. From the Andes Mountains perspective. Okay, I don't have my mouse here, but if you see in the left image, there is like a chain of mountains. That is the Andes mountains that cross like the whole continent. Yeah, that brown pink line. I'm just in the middle of the country. In the second image, you can see like a brown zone. I'm just in the middle of the country in the Andes mountains, and I want to highlight this because when you talk about Global South, sometimes the people put us like in a big bag or group that is Global South, and inside Global South you can find anything. Like there is like infinite cultures, languages, people, ecosystems. Like it's crazy the diversity you can find here in the Global South. I also wanted to show my country because you can see that we have two oceans. We have the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And I live in the center of the country when I don't have access to ocean. So my perspective is very different from a person from the Atlantic coast or the Pacific coast. Or even if you see like that green zone at the south of the country, that's the Amazon rainforest. So we have everything, like we have glaciers, Amazon rainforest, coast, obviously cities, deserts, like everything you can find here. And I'm gonna talk about my perspectives being like a mountain and this person. Can you go to the next one, please? So I'm going to start talking about a bit about this colonization process and how it's related with my personal life, with my family. With the arrival of Europeans and all the sociopolitical changes that arose, the indigenous communities in the center of the country were largely extinct. If you see like the map of indigenous communities here in Colombia, you can find a lot of in the coast and also in the Amazon rainforest, but in the middle of the country, like they're practically gone because the urbanization at the beginning centered in the middle of the country. So the European people killed almost all the indigenous communities from the center of the country. Can you go to the next one, please? So my family, like both of my parents are from the center of the country, from a state that is called Boyacá, that is 2 hours by car from Bogota. And I can say, like, I'm sure that I have indigenous roots, but also, surely I also have Afro-descendant and European roots, because in reality, many people here in Latin America are mixed. However, we know little about our ancestors, and what we know about them are like really vague stories because it was erased and it was like covered by this European and universal history. Can you go to the next one, please? So I'm gonna put myself as an example. I have a Spanish ancestry. And I know that because of my 2 last names, Laura Veronica, but my last names are Munoz Aguilar, which are Spanish. But also I have indigenous surnames, like through my parents' last names, which are Tibacuy and Tocarruncho, which are pretty like indigenous. And actually, like doing this decoloniality process, I discover like I want to return to my roots. I want to discover all the history that was erased and forgotten because of Western culture. And in that process, I even found that I'm like a granddaughter of a hero, of one of the heroines precursors of independence. Clara Tocarruncho is not the woman of the picture, but she was beheaded too because she's subjugated, like she's spoke up against the Spanish people when we were started to be colonized. Can you go to the next one, please? I forgot also to say that I have like very few information about her. It's not like I've seen that sometimes European people know even like their grandparents, and it's not like that in our cases. Like it's literally like erased history. In these pictures now I show like the indigenous people that survived to the colonization. They didn't survive mainly as indigenous, but as peasants. And that's like one of my messages as climate activism. Like I know in English, the peasant word is kind of stigmatized, but there are peasants right now, not only in Latin America, but also in the global north. Okay, wait. I'm reading my notes. Okay, now I also, can you go to the next one? Like these indigenous people that were converted to the Catholic religion now are peasants, and they still being like very marginalized communities, and that's why they are in constant protest here in the country. And that was last year. I think that it was like in November when they came to Bogota and like spread a lot of potatoes on the floor because the potato prices were on the floor, and it was cheaper to leave them to root the potatoes in the land than to sell them, because actually like potatoes from the European Union, like Belgium actually, they bring potatoes, like frozen potatoes, which are very cheaper, and they also have like a huge carbon footprint, so it's very like unsustainable, and not only for like the world itself, but also for the peasant communities. Can you go to the next one, please? That actually is my family. You can see in the left side, in the left photograph, my grandparent with some of my cousins, and that's in the right side is me with my grandmother. That's in Convita, in my parents' hometown. And can you go to the next one, please? So that's me, and that's my family. In that picture of the left side, my dad is missing, but I want to say here that I'm very grateful that my parents have been able to give me the opportunities that I have, that I have in my life, especially the education, since because of that, I'm here talking to you in English and with this internet connection and with this computer. But it's also like kind of paradoxical because all those opportunities could only be given to me when they left the countryside, when they left their peasant life. I would like to say also that in this whole process, like I have peasant roots, but I'm also very influenced by Western culture. So when I was like rescuing all this past and history, I also realized that I'm very colonized myself, like in my desires, in my thoughts, in my knowledge, even my body. Like I'm very colonized, all of myself. Can you go to the next one? Okay, wait. Can you go to the next one? There is one missing. Can I share my screen for a bit? Okay, wait. Because actually it was like a fun fact that I found, like studying again the presentation, because when I talk about colonization and the coloniality process, I'm an audiovisual. I had to present myself a bit also, like I'm an audiovisual and a multimedia communicator. So I really like to analyze images and videos, When I started to learn about decolonization, I found this image, this illustration, that it was actually done by a Flemish artist called Jan van der Straat, like almost like 1 year, like 1 century or so after we were colonized. And with this image, I want to show that like one of the main messages that I want to give to you is like we all need to rethink ourselves, because even me, I had this picture of colonization, that the European people came to our lands to save ourselves, to put everything in order, to give us intelligence and wisdom, and to organize our lands. But it's not like that. And like this Flemish artist picture colonization and the discovery of America, like if we were very savage, if you can see like the eyes of the animals, and like they are very even evil and like even grotesque. And another thing that I know that you wanted to like that I approach this ecofeminism topic is that one of the things that ecofeminism says is that the way nature is conceived is similar or has the same roots as the gender violence. And you can see that here, Latin America is pictured as a indigenous women, and a naked indigenous woman who is even like kind of sleepy and like unprepared to receive like the European people. And if you see also like the levels of the European people, of the indigenous people, like we are a bit lower to the European perspective. We are also like even laid down, and you European people are even with a stick, like all dressed, like stood up very, very strong. And also you can see that our lands, like it's very like if we were cannibals, kind of. So all this picture, and if you analyze all the European art from this period of time, it's something like that. And actually, it's not just your perspective, but also the one that I was taught, even here in Colombia. We are like we learn this kind of perspective, this Eurocentrist perspective about our colonization. Okay, I'm sure now I can say this. So that's like the first message I want to say, like to share with you. There's plenty of topic to talk about it, and like just the image itself, like it can be analyzed very, very much later. But another thing that I want also to say is like this climate crisis. I'm a climate activist, and this climate crisis also is very unequal, and like these same patterns of European people and people from the global north, like killing people and like putting all the suffering into the global south, it's still happening. And in this chart, you see my mouse? Yes, okay. In this chart is from an Oxfam study that was launched last year, like in September. And you can see like the inequality in terms of carbon emissions. You can see 10% of the population is responsible of 52 of the carbon emissions, while all these people is just responsible of this part. So yeah, like, and in this other chart, you can also see like the principal countries or polluters in terms of carbon emissions also. And in Colombia, just to put an example, we are responsible of 0.05% of the worldwide carbon emissions. It's something like that. It's crazy. We're like we don't are responsible for that much. However, we are the most dangerous country to do climate activism, environmental activism, You can see here, this was studied by the Global Witness that was launched last year. And we are the #1 country with the people killed in 2019 for defending the land. However, this is like a small number because you cannot like register all the assassinations that happened here. And I also want to picture this. This was an image that we made in Fridays for Future Bogota last year. And you can see the names of the people from the states that were killed in that year, in 2019. And you can see that like if we are the most dangerous country to be a climate activist or a climate defender, like this part of the country, of the Pacific coast, is like the hotspot of the violence in the whole world, because they keep like all the dead people. And look at this state, is like, it's crazy. And just like then here I say there is no climate justice without social justice, because also in this part of the country there are many Afro-descendant people and indigenous communities. So it's not a coincidence. And like I also want to say that in this violence that we live in Colombia, there are like mixed 3 factors, which is the state, the multinational companies that come to exploit our lands, like with oil and coal, coal, and like another extractivism projects. And we also have armed conflict here. And it's just like a fight for the land when all those of 3 participate in the violence. I think that I already passed the 10 minutes, so I'm gonna go very, very fast. There is no climate justice without social injustice. I can give you the link of this video. It is a video that we launched inside Fridays for Future Bogota. We have a climate, wait, I need to send this, concentrate. I don't know how. Okay, I'm gonna share it later, but we have an ecofeminism group, and this video that I'm gonna share later, it is an ecofeminism video talking about the need to highlight the gender inequality in the climate crisis. And I actually in that video, I appear saying that in the IPCC group of scientists is something like 70% of men and 30% of women. And that same percentage can be also reflected in the participation of the Global South in international events like the COP26. Then I'm gonna share also this image. This was a project that I participated last year that is called Sail for Climate Action, that joined Latin American and Caribbean voices. And the idea was to develop like a regional message to take to the European international spaces, negotiations. And there we discovered like it's very, very difficult like to sum up all the problems of the region in just like one problematic, because there are many problematics. And actually the only way that we can summarize all our message was by the diversity. And that's also why I at the beginning started to localize myself here, because I'm speaking from this point. But if you invite people from here or from here or from here or from here, they will have like a different history, a different perspective, a different message, and a different issues. And also like if that's in Colombia, just imagine how like the multicultural and multiplicity of issues that we have in Latin America and the Caribbean. Besides, we have the same like history of colonization, or kind of. And then this was another video that we did in Sail for Climate Action, but I'm gonna shut up because it's time. And that's it. I don't know if you have any questions.
Voilà. Alvast voor mij mega hard bedankt. Ik vond het fantastisch fascinerend. Een klein applausje voor Laura. Lang geleden dat ik nog naar een webinar met open ogen heb gekeken. Ze heeft ook bijna elk topic aangeraakt dat we zo meteen gaan bediscussiëren. Dus we hebben al heel wat input. Waarvoor dank. We all have to rethink ourselves. Neem ik ook wel mee. Er heeft iemand een vraag en er zijn nog mensen met vragen. Maar u ziet het, we hebben niet mega veel tijd meer. Maar als er iemand echt een vraag heeft, mag je zo'n reactie, uw handje opsteken. Dat kun je doen door beneden in de balk bij reactions. Dat is ook handig voor straks in de breakout room. Als je een reactie wilt doen, is uw handje opsteken. Bij reactions kun je dan zo'n emoticon of een duimpje, zoals Zachary nu doet. Maar een handje mag zeker ook. En dan weten we dat je wilt reageren. Ik ga er even door, omdat hij zeker een vraag wilt stellen. Weet, ik snap dat je heel veel vragen hebt, want ik vond het fantastisch interessant. Als jullie echt zoiets hebben van we moeten meer stemmen uit het zuiden aan bod laten komen en ik wil daar langer mee in discussie gaan, ga dan zeker in onze Facebookgroep rond het collectief Road to Glasgow. Het komt nog eens in de chat zo meteen. En dan kunnen we eventueel daar nog eens een avond rond doen. Hè, als je dan zegt van kijk, we moeten stemmen uit verschillende werelddelen horen, want het is te interessant. Dat zou fantastisch zijn. Ik weet niet of we enorm veel tijd hebben voor... Zachary, zeg ik het juist? Wilt jij uw vraag stellen als het kort kan? Misschien één vraag dat we eruit nemen en dan moeten we wel door.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just interested in what exactly, Laura, that you do right now as a climate activist in Colombia.
Okay, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. So I'm a climate activist right now, like full time. Right now I'm working with 2 NGOs. One is English NGO that is working with Mockup 26. I'm a campaign coordinator there. I'm the Latin American campaign coordinator. And the other one is I don't know how to say it, United States NGO that works with peasants and farmers from around the globe, and they are like a crowdfunding platform to fund agroforestry projects. And also, like, that's been like a long term, like I'm doing it for more than 2 years. I'm a climate activist from Fridays for Future Bogotá, Colombia International. I also work with Pacto por el Clima, which is a youth climate NGO here in Colombia.
Voilà. Ja, er waren nog een aantal mensen met vragen. Typ ze zeker in de chat. Er zijn heel wat mensen die hier verslag van nemen. Desnoods kan Laura ze in de chat beantwoorden of we sturen ze nog op naar haar en dan laten we het wel weten in onze Facebookgroep, de antwoorden. Of wie weet doen we nog eens een avond met Laura. Want die kan fantastisch vertellen over ecofeminisme en de visie op de wereld. Over de multinationals in Colombia heb ik gehoord. Over de dekolonisatie en klimaat. Het was fantastisch. Voilà, maar we moeten door, vrees ik. Zet uw vragen in de chat naar Laura. Laura, hartelijk bedankt. Blijf gerust hangen indien je wil. Nogmaals, een klein applausje voor Laura.